This is the Orioles POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Baltimore Orioles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into the Baltimore Orioles POSTCAST live on YouTube here early on this Thursday morning. Just recapping a Wednesday night game out in the Pacific Northwest. The Baltimore Orioles take down the Seattle Mariners 3-2. Welcome on in, everyone. If you're new, if you're a loyal listener, if you're watching this the day after or listening in the car, hello, my name is Luke Slaybaugh, and I'm your friend. I'm the post-game show host here on the Locked On Podcast Network after every Baltimore Orioles game that we can muster. Let me know, before we get started, your player of the game in the comments section. Before we go any further, I want to hear from you guys who are watching live right now in the chat, celebrating the 5th straight win for the Baltimore Orioles here in this 2025 season. So that's 5 in a row. It extends the season-long winning streak for the Baltimore Orioles. It is the longest active win streak in baseball. And things are trending upwards here at the start of June for this O's squad. They are 12 games under 500 with the win. However, they improved to 9-8 under interim manager Tony Mansolino. They have now won 4 games in a row that have been decided by 1 run. That's incredible. They muster a late comeback win in the 7th inning after seemingly giving the game away the inning prior. They're also 5-0 since John Mabry's been hired, but that's a story for another time. And most importantly, as the O's claw their way, try to get a brand of winning baseball back on the field, just win as many as they can, get the season back on track. They've won their 2nd consecutive series. Perhaps there are comments in the chat. I didn't forget. It was standing right here next to my nitroglycerin pills. Felix Bautista sure made it interesting there in the 9th inning. And the bullpen prior to him did a darn good job. It is floppy hat time. We do have a covenant on the show. One of 2 rules we've established, that if the O's have a win streak of 3 or more games, I put on the lucky hat. Is it lucky? I don't know. It's giving meaning back to the souvenir I got 2 years ago at Camden Yards. Hopefully by now, in the chat, you've told me your player of the game. I'll go ahead and tell you mine. Heston Kjerstad, we owe you a great debt, a tip of the cap, and ultimately so much gratitude for salvaging this game, sparking a rally, and igniting this team to its 5th straight win.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
It's got to be an Arkansas Razorback, right? Number 2 overall pick there in that truncated 2020 draft. Things were not looking good for the Orioles offense as late as the 7th inning. Sure, you had the Adley Rutschman home run and a Dylan Carlson single. However, that was just about it. Top of the 7th inning with 1 out, Ramon Urias walks. Left-hander Gabe Spire had been making a mockery of the O's hitters. He had struck out Gunnar Henderson to cap the 6th inning on 3 pitches. He got Ryan O'Hearn swinging. He had gotten Colton Cowser on a called strike offside the plate. So the turning point in this game, I would reckon, is with 1 out, Kobe Mayo walks on 4 pitches. So now you've got, runners in scoring position, and who comes up to the plate but Heston Kjerstad? And that's with 2 outs now after Colton Cowser had struck out. So Heston Kjerstad up at the plate, and given the way his performance has trended this season, you're thinking, gosh, 2 outs and the O's are going to get stuck with, the same old, same old. They're going to leave runners in scoring position. This narrative is going to continue. Right-hander Carlos Vargas is in, having walked Kobe Mayo. Gets ahead of Heston Kjerstad 0-2, and then gives him a cutter low and in. Heston slaps it into the right field gap. 2 runners score. Kobe Mayo chugging around third. He runs very well, the rookie does. It's the 3rd straight game for Heston with an extra base hit, a 2-run triple, and his 2nd major league triple in 3 games. The walks ended up killing the Seattle Mariners in this game. Even better, before the O's took the lead and never looked back, Adley Rutschman went yard. The inning prior, as a matter of fact. As I had mentioned, right-hander Emerson Hancock had been doing a heck of a job. He was the 6th overall pick in that 2020 draft out of the University of Georgia. He was going right after O's hitters. And the 6th looked like to be more of the same. Dylan Carlson lined out to left field. It was a really good diving play by Randy Arozarena. Kind of somersaulted after the fact. Struck out Jackson Holliday on a foul tip on 7 pitches. And just as Hancock was about to carve through this lineup one more time and get out of this inning, 1-1 count on Adley Rutschman hitting from the left side. Sinker. Rutsch tees off. 4:15 to right field. His 6th home run of the season. Knocked Hancock out of the game. Much to be said about Rutschman's return to the Pacific Northwest. Had 3 hits a night ago as part of a 3-for-5 night. Portland, Oregon native, number 1 overall pick out of Oregon State. And we love that for Adley. The reunion serving him well. The backstop got some criticism from media members and fans alike that perhaps there were better fits in the number 2 spot in this Orioles lineup. Adley still hitting .214 on the season. However, it's a good step in the right direction. And prior to that, Hancock had been seizing every opportunity that he could against the Orioles. Really only had 2 clunkers this season, the Mariners right-hander did. Opening week against the Tigers and then the Yankees as well. And it's good for a few walks each outing, but he was deceptive with the fastball, ran inside on lefties, looks really juicy out of the hand. And he got a lot of early swings from O's hitters, baiting them quite a bit. And the O's were late on the fastball that ran around 95, sometimes 93. Complemented by good arm action on his off-speed pitches, particularly the changeup, slider breaking well, and was really getting through this lineup quickly. Coming up, we're going to talk about this Orioles bullpen, particularly Sir Anthony Dominguez and Gregory Soto. Fantastic work from them. And then Kate Povich, bucking the trend from some of the Orioles starters. They had been doing so well over this last stretch of 10 games. And Povich turns in a pretty good outing. Some nitpicks here and there. And we will look ahead towards the series finale in Seattle. A chance to sweep the Mariners as the O's win their 5th straight 3-2 over Seattle late Wednesday night / early Thursday morning. I'm Luke Slaybaugh. This is the Locked On Podcast Network. Please stick with us. You might also notice that I'm not shaving as well. Per my spin coach, the scruff plays well sometimes. And speaking of that spin coach, perhaps you want to go to a comedy show Friday night with your spin coach. That involves a lot of expenses. Before the date, after the date. Perhaps you're doing a road trip covering UFL football on the weekends. It's the life we live these days, right? And you're doing an Orioles postcast every night. These expenses add up. You got to be fueled. You got to have caffeine. You got to stick with it. Monarch Money acts as the personal CFO, giving you control over your finances. It's a complete financial command center, and it focuses on both managing your money and also building wealth. And instead of juggling multiple apps, you can just all put it in one. Monarch is really good for centralizing all the aspects of your financial life. Loans, credit, expenses. You can share an account with a trusted partner. Take control of your finances. Monarch Money is the way. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB, that's all one word, LOCKEDONMLB, at monarchmoney.com to get 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Running narrative on the show is that my washing machine no longer works. We might wear this shirt for a couple more nights. Keep it clean. I know a lot of people are superstitious. I wouldn't say I'm superstitious. but I am a little stituous. But if I ever want to fix the plumbing that's going on here in this lame excuse for a condo, I will go to Supply House. Plumbing, HVAC, electrical. Supply House has got it all. Website is cleanly formatted, easy to use, 200K parts in the inventory from over 400 plus top brands. You're going to get the GOAT coast to coast. If you need help with an order, you'll get in-person service, expert support, and industry-leading service. They also have a free Trade Master program if you're looking for an extra edge. If you are a trade pro, exclusive perks, dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts as part of this free Trade Master program. Thousands of skilled professionals have taken advantage of Supply House, and if you're interested, this would be a really, really good time. Use code SH5 for your first order to get 5% off. That's supplyhouse.com, promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. Thank you to Supply House for sponsoring this show. I do appreciate it. For all the talk about Cal Raleigh being tied for the MLB lead in home runs, O's pitching for the most part owned him. I say for the most part because he did have Cade Povich on the ropes. In fact, booted him out of the game. I guess that's the antithesis of having him on the ropes, is actually foot on the gas. So we'll start with Cade Povich, in fact. This is what we'll be talking about.
This is what you'll be talking about.
And if the O's lose this game, there's probably a deeper narrative to get into with Povich. However, I saw a tweet today from Masson reporter, play-by-play voice Melanie Newman. The O's had won 7 of their last 9 games, thanks in part to a 199 starters ERA. That is completely against the grain of how the O's had started April and trudged through most of May. They'd gotten really good performances out of Zach Eflin lately, Charlie Morton, Dean Kramer, Tomoyuki Sagano last night, carved him, shoved. And Cade Povich did his best part. The knock on Cade all year long has been end of the first time through the lineup / early second time. That is when he is most vulnerable. And it's true. The knock had been the 3rd and 4th innings, a 9 ERA in the 3rd inning this year and a 6.75 in the 4th. For someone like Cade, it's hard to read into this because he hasn't even gotten 33 full starts in his major league career. He's young. He needs time to grow. The dichotomy here is that this is a team that aspired to the postseason for the 3rd consecutive year, a team that wanted to improve on 90-win and 100-win seasons. This season has gone by the wayside, and they've buried themselves pretty deep in the AL East. Playoff odds, by the way, today were 2.6% on FanGraphs. You're saying there's a chance, however, it's minimal. And for Povich, longevity is going to be the key. I will say that his start against the Cardinals, there was a lot to like. Really good swing and miss. It was just inefficient with his pitches and eventually, left some stuff out over the plate and got beat up. And that almost was the case tonight. We saw from the gate some really lively break on Povich's pitches. Challenging hitters inside, like Cal Raleigh, like Randy Arozarena, struck out Raleigh in the first inning. That curve at the shins. Struck out Dylan Moore on a fastball inside in the second, then got Donovan Solano to whiff on a curve in the dirt. Minor blip in the first inning, that infield single to Julio Rodriguez. Povich fields it with the glove, which is kind of nice since the ball is still rolling there. He doesn't have to barehand a static ball off the ground. Rodriguez is fast enough to beat Povich's throw by 1.5 steps. Got Cole Young. 93-mile-an-hour fastball on the outside corner there in the bottom of the 3rd. Ran into a little bit of trouble there in the 4th. Raleigh hits a ground rule double after Povich was ahead 0-2 in the count. Heston Kjerstad there sliding a little bit early, that ball right there on the foul line. He traps his right leg and then hits the concrete wall with it, comes up limping. Julio Rodriguez singles to Colton Cowser out in center, and Rosarena hits a sac fly to make it a 1-0 ball game. But credit to Povich there in the fourth, which is usually the collapse in the descent inning, gets Mitch Garver, 4-6-3 double play on a high fastball to end the inning. Got more again on a high fastball there in the bottom of the fifth. And then in the sixth inning is kind of when the wheels started to not come off, but need some grease. Started by working this long count against Ben Williamson, the 9-hitter. Hits Williamson by a pitch. And that's the thing is Povich likes to challenge hitters inside. And Williamson, a batter who respectfully I'd never heard of, and kind of comes off as an NPC type of player. Like if you were auto-generating a player in MLB The Show, it would churn out a name like Ben Williamson. He did go to William and Mary, however. So that's interesting. And then Povich walks JP Crawford. Povich to this point has 5 groundouts compared to 3 flyouts. The ratio looks good. Unfortunately, this is when Cal Raleigh comes to the plate. Hits a liner to left. It drops in front of Dylan Carlson. Williamson scores. And Henderson cuts off the throw, feeds it to Jackson Holiday, and they get Cal Raleigh out for the first out there. It's a 2-1 ball game. The Mariners lead. And that's enough to knock out Povich out of the game. So 2 earned runs over 5 1/3 is about a 3.38 ERA in the small sample size. So while it's not the best outing we've seen out of an O's pitcher, it's certainly welcome improvement. The big picture question you would have as a contender, if you were in the thick of a divisional race right now, if you were challenging the Yankees, or if you were in firm possession of a wild card spot, is what you would do with Cade Povich. Fact of the matter is, he's got a long leash because the O's are buried right now. They got to leapfrog a lot of teams to even get back in this thing. If the script were flipped, you might ask, how can we leverage some success with what Povich is giving us right now? And the answer would probably be a 3 to 4 inning piggyback guy, not unlike what Charlie Morton did during his stint in the bullpen in May. Or maybe combining it with a Trevor Rogers, or when Brandon Young gets back from injury, a right-handed complement to him. That's not really the conversation we need to have right now. However, if things keep trending up and this team wins at the clip that it is right now, it might be a welcome discussion. You know who did a fantastic job tonight, though, was the bullpen. Right-hander Sir Anthony Dominguez and left-hander Gregory Soto taking on the 7th and the 8th, respectively. Sir Anthony getting a great 1-2-3 inning, striking out Jorge Polanco and Rowdy Tellez on low splitters. Gregory Soto, fantastic. Starts out the 8th with an automatic strike called against Cole Young, carves him up on the slider away, gets Ben Williamson, the aforementioned NPC, looking on a fastball inside at 99, walks JP Crawford, and of course, go ahead run at the plate and Cal Raleigh at the plate to potentially give the M's a win. 3-2 count. And Soto, ballsy. Challenge his up in the zone with the slider. Raleigh's not expecting it. He swings and whiffs. So that's extraordinary. Extraordinary effort. And yes, Felix Bautista made it a little bit close there in the 9th. Rowdy Tellez with a runner on, hitting a fly ball to the deepest part of the park with 2 outs. Jordan Adams camping right under it. That's probably good for Heston Kjerstad's confidence as well. Like, get the RBI triple, the 2 runs knocked in, team's leading. And then you don't have to worry about defense for the rest of the game. Adams comes in, takes over center. Cowser slides from center to right field for the 2nd consecutive game. We'll look ahead to tomorrow's matchup. The O's have a chance to sweep. It's right-hander Zach Eflin on the bump. 4-2 this season with a 4.46 ERA. He goes up against a very talented right-hander in Brian Wu. Wu is 5-2 with a 2.82 ERA and 63 strikeouts so far this season. That's a 3:40 first pitch Eastern time on Masson 2. I got my 9 to 5, of course, and then I will be, actually it's a 9 to 6, but don't shoot the messenger, and I'll be slamming back here Got one eye on the game. Probably listen to my guy, Jeff Arnold, my good friend here. And we will reconvene there. We're hitting 20 minutes. I got 4 or 5 minutes to kill. 80 comments in the live chat right now, and 50 of you watching right now actively on YouTube. I want to say thank you for joining me here on the Locked On Orioles postcast. It is 12:45, just about here on the East Coast. I'm going to take a look at some of these and highlight them from beginning to end. Milo Copeland is a frequent commenter here on YouTube. He says 30-18 is the record the O's need to reach 500 by the trade deadline. I appreciate you all for conversing with each other, keeping it respectful here on the YouTube live chat. Tom Keating, also an avid commenter. By the way, if you're watching, listening here, wherever you get your podcasts for free, leave a rating, leave a review. 5 stars, we'll take it all. If you comment on a YouTube video after the fact, even after we've streamed this, it really goes a long way to benefiting the channel and the greater Locked On Orioles show as well. Like, Connor gets some kickback from this. So if you like his show, you support the show, we're all kind of friends here. So I appreciate the community here that's been very respectful. Tom Keating gives some really good perspective here. He says it's still a long way to go, but winning games we to this point were almost automatically losing is making this a lot more fun to watch. That is a really good point. Winning the last 4 games decided by 1 run, when the margin for error was so razor thin, it seemed like the Orioles collapsed, whether it was a lack of preparation or composure or some function in the O's clubhouse just wasn't working. And that's a discussion for another time that I'll probably leave to Connor, is that, with Brandon Hyde being a long tenured manager, I believe the 4th longest in the AL up to this point, had things gotten a little complacent. Not from one individual in particular, but just how do you lose the marks of success that quickly? Alan Barron Thomas is a new commenter. He says he's looking forward to watching the O's in Sacramento this weekend. Go Birds. Beanie comments on YouTube, grow the beard. So this may be a coded message here from the fairer sex, but whenever someone says, "Oh, I really like your scruff," as someone who cannot grow a beard and genetically does not have just the beard trait, like, if you like beards, not your guy. We're going to see how far this goes, but I've tried to have a beard before when I was in Oklahoma for a little while, and it's not great. Had a mustache maybe 3 Junes ago. Solstice comments, this game is giving me serious 2022 vibes. That's a very good point. The contributions from some of the younger or more obscure players on this Orioles team. We know that Ramon Urias has good plate discipline, and he's been a contributor for a long time. Kobe Mayo is finding ways to be effective, even if he's not, hitting the cover off the ball. I think that's a really, really good point. Dale Thomas brings up a very good point here on YouTube, that Adley's stare after the umpire made a wrong safe call, which was later overturned at home, needs to become a meme. And that's a part that I didn't even really need to talk about because it was inconsequential in the game. So after the O's lift Cade Povich and they're trailing 2-1, this game could have gone off the rails. First pitch from right-hander Yennier Cano. Infield's in. I'll go back and look at who's at the plate here. Julio Rodriguez at the plate and JP Crawford's at third. Ball's hit to Gunnar. Throws to Adley. The throw is on time, early even. It's a little bit away from the plate, a little bit high, but the throw beats him. And the tag beats Crawford. Now, it's a bang-bang play, depending on your angle and distance. And if you're the home plate umpire tonight, Jeremy Rayhack, also inconsistent tonight. Balls and strikes. Again, inconsequential. I'm not going to yap about it. But the throw beats him, and it appears that the tag beats Crawford as well. Emphatic safe call. Questionable to see what Ray Hack saw. And even from the angle that was at field level, it almost looked like the toe could have beaten Adley's tag because you're not seeing the depth of where Adley's glove is at the time. The fact of the matter is it had nagged uh, Crawford's shin a split second beforehand. There was this really good angle on the Masson broadcast that was top down that showed that Adley clearly had applied the tag. And yes, Adley kind of this blank kind of stare at the umpire. He had a similar there was a still frame from USA Today Images last night where Adley was caught in a similar pose just in between innings, just kind of looking like a 1,000-yard stare there. Beanie does comment that Adley Rutschman home run was a bomb. I'm very happy that we got a record number of comments here. Dale Thomas also mentioned the video that Connor did last night. I would implore you to check out the one that he's got coming out in the morning. I just looked through that as well as I was preparing for this, and really good kind of double recap of the offseason and relative to how some of the O's targets have performed, kind of in the wake of Corbin Burns having that elbow injury and Anthony Santander being almost more ineffective than Tyler O'Neill. It's some really good perspective, and he did a really good job. Really creative video concepts the last couple of days from Connor. Please do check it out. Calvin Barnes comments, and the Yankees got shut out today. The Stankies, if you will. I would agree. All-Star game voting is open. They had a Rhino Hearn on the broadcast. Did a darn good job as well. Narniak comments, Heston Kjerstad is now better than the skeleton of Charlton Heston. Ben-Hur, Soylent Green, famous Charlton Heston. That comment made me laugh about a week or so ago. Narniak's always good for a good comment here. We've had a really good night here. We're hitting 28 minutes here on the Orioles postcast. Let me take a look here. I love sleeping comments here at 12:52. Is John Mabry the greatest coach ever? Go back and listen to my postcast from the White Sox series, the first one I did of the 2 games that I covered there. And yeah, Mabry has a good track record in terms of zone hitting percentage, contact, runners in scoring position, all the things that the O's weren't/aren't doing. And as we run it back here and we look at the final game book that MLB.com updates, the O's go 1 for 4 with RISP. But that one hit, all you need is one. Heston Kjerstad. AJG commented before the stream that this is almost the satisfying win of the season, or the most satisfying win. 8th and 9th especially, though. My heart can't take too much of those. Orioles definitely have a cardiac feel to them. All right. Wrapped in sports comments that the O's need to sweep Oakland because they have been Rockies level recently. There was something, I think it's one of their last 19. It's definitely the losing streak has extended past 7 games. They got to focus on business first. They got to sweep the Mariners first and foremost. Nehemiah Lockett brings it on home. We have to get on top of the Yankees. Plenty of opportunities to do that here in the month of June. They got 2 series against the Rays, and then that 3-game series up the Bronx. I am trying to go up to that one in New York. The Yankees kind of on the fence about what they do with new media / podcasters or all digital network types. However, we carry on. And that is what the Orioles plan to do, is they look to make it 6 straight tomorrow afternoon against the Seattle Mariners. Final score tonight, Baltimore 3, Seattle 2. 5-game win streak. Thanks in part to Heston Kjerstad and his game-deciding hit. I'm Luke Slabaugh here. Thank you so much for watching and listening here on the Locked On Podcast Network. If you're doing it live here with us on YouTube, it was almost 1 a.m. when we signed off here. If you're watching the day after, if you're listening the day after, you see this for the first time in your feed, hello. Happy to have this community of Orioles fans here on this early Thursday morning, wherever you may be watching and whenever you may be watching. Good night, stay safe, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow night.